Meantime, we're going to turn the page here and talk about an important topic for the summertime in our area, and that's pet safety for 4th of July. Of course, we've mentioned this before, how 4th of July can be a tricky time with the fireworks, scaring pets. They might get away. This is a tough time for shelters where they might have more intakes of pets. And there are really just a bunch of other summertime hazards that you really need to know about as a pet owner. So we have here Melissa Knicely joining us from CMPD Animal Care and Control. Melissa, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having me in. I really appreciate it.
Yes, your debut in the Live Impact News studio. So we wanted to first and foremost talk about 4th of July because we know that's, of course, tomorrow, but we know the days leading up to and afterwards, you might have folks who are setting off their own fireworks. That can be scary for pets. That can cause some issues for not only the pet owners, but for the shelters as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of a double impact there, because what happens is a lot of people just don't realize that their animals are going to be frightened by fireworks and firecrackers and all the popping and the bangs and the booms and that sort of thing. And even some of the dogs that you think are the most bomb-proof, if you will, can, it can affect them, and they can dart out the gate, an open door, and before you know it, a dog that somebody would say, oh, they'll never run away, is running, as fast as they can down the street because they're afraid. And unfortunately, what can happen then, fortunately or unfortunately, I'd like to think that it's fortunate that someone finds them and brings them to the shelter so that we can take care of them and work to get them back home to their owner.
I mean, you say, I kind of get your on the fence feeling about the fortunately, unfortunate, because fortunately we want the dog to be found, right? But we know that the shelter is constantly at max capacity. And so 4th of July, because you might have more pets running away, could be a busy time for y'all over at Animal Care and Control. I mean, do you know the rise in intakes that you might see around 4th of July?
Yeah, generally we see it in dogs, and I've tracked for years. And when I say tracked, I'm using like an old school hash mark type of thing. There was really no way to put it into our computer system, but they're really good about saying, and tracking how many animals come in. When people are coming in to look for their animals, their lost animals, they ask them, was it frightened by the fireworks or that sort of thing, or was it related to the 4th of July? So generally we can have anywhere from, I think, as low as 6, 7 all the way up to 20 in previous years. And you're right. Every week, every day almost, we're putting out that we are so cramped with kennel space for dogs. Like it's coveted. Like we just never have enough. And so there's a couple things that complicate that. So one, we're closed tomorrow on the 4th of July because it's a city holiday. And so that means that there'll be no animals leaving, to go on staycations or foster or be adopted. So then that's going to mean no empty kennels are being emptied tomorrow. Then you've got that rush of animals that usually we do not see until the fall. It's not really the 4th of July that you see it. It's the days following where people have had time to find them, or they've had time that their dog is missing, and then they're going to come in and look for their animals, hopefully. Or people are going to find animals and bring them in. So it's really going to be Saturday, Sunday, into Monday and Tuesday that we're going to probably feel the effects of it.
Yeah. So I guess knowing that, just based on what history has taught you about the trends around 4th of July, what are your recommendations? We'll start with recommendations for pet owners, because I also do want to talk about how the community can help too, even if they don't have pets.
Sure, absolutely. So the number one thing as a pet owner, and this isn't just for the 4th, because we also know that animals also, it's 4th of July, but also thunderstorms. Like it seems like almost every evening we get a thunderstorm rolling through. So it could happen anytime. So you want to make sure that at all times your pets are very protected, and that's by making sure that they have a microchip. It's making sure that you take an extra minute a couple times a year to make sure that you haven't changed your phone number, you haven't moved, so that all the information that is connected to your microchip, so that would be the registration part, is up to date with your most current information. I like to even actually put on the ID tag extra contacts, right? Like Vanessa, I have you as a contact on my, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
but
no, I'm
I mean,
happy to
it's like really,
be
you
part
know,
of that, yeah.
like somebody that you know that your pets would be okay with.
Yeah.
Like put their phone number on your microchip as an extra contact. That way, if you're on vacation or something crazy. So I always recommend that. Like,
Okay,
don't just put
yeah.
one contact. You know, maybe put a trusted friend that has a key to your house, so that they could bring your animal back or that sort of thing or whatever. So the other thing is leading into pet ID tags, right? So there are so many things on the market now that are available to put on your pets for IDs. There are tags that have a QR code that you can put as an extra thing on there that if you scan it with your phone, you know, everybody has a smartphone now, it's going to open to a page that has all of the pet's information. Some of them even include in our pet tags, our pet licenses from Mecklenburg County. So yes, you need to pay a pet license fee if you have a pet. But what's nice about those tags is you get this really nice tag with the logo on one side and a QR code on the back. And I just recently adopted a pet from the shelter. And so when I went to fill out his, you can put, like, if they are diabetic and they need medication, you can put all of that kind of information.
Yeah.
But let's boil it down. Honestly, just their name, like my new dog Rex, Rex, and my phone number, because that way it doesn't take anyone with a microchip scanner to be able to bring Rex home. They can call me and they can say, hey, are you the owner of Rex? Because I just found him. And that way anybody can help with getting the animals back home. It doesn't have to be an animal control officer. So that means they don't have to come into the shelter.
Yeah, I mean, that would first and foremost, right, be the goal. Now, let's just say you do get a lot of dogs in, and knowing that you are closed on 4th of July, what would your recommendation be to the public, either, you know, in the days following or whatnot, things that folks can do to be helpful in this situation?
So it's obviously tomorrow's the 4th. So a couple things about your own pets. If you know that your pet is anxious to loud noises and that sort of thing, make sure you're making a really good plan for your pet. Like, make sure that there's lots of things on the market. Your vet is your best answer. Like, there are things that you can give your pet to help calm it down a little bit if you know there's going to be thunderstorms. There's so many things. There's thunder shirts. There's all kinds of things. Also, if you know your pet has those tendencies, make sure you have a plan, especially if you're having a party and you know that that after dark, be home. You know, maybe go out and party and have a picnic during the day, but be home for your pet. Or if you're having a party at your house, I always tell everyone my favorite place to recommend people to put their cat or their dog, if they're very anxious, is your walk-in closet, especially in your bedroom, because it's muffled with all of the clothes that you have in there.
Yeah.
And so it makes a perfect spot to put their bed, maybe put something soothing like their blankets and that sort of thing. Maybe even put a radio in there that's playing like soft spa music or something like that.
I want to go in that room.
Yeah, that's really one of my favorite things to recommend, because people don't really think of that space, but it's enclosed. If you think about cats love boxes, so you could even get one of your Amazon boxes and make it like a special little box in that room. And then I always just say, ask yourself, am I going to the fireworks show and I'm taking the dog with me because I think it's going to be fun for the dog, or I think it's going to be fun for me to have the dog?
Yeah.
And if you can't say that your dog is bomb proof and that sort of thing, leave the dog at home. Like, right, leave your pets at home, enjoy it, let them enjoy the comforts and a non-stressed 4th of July. I think your other question with that is, if your animal goes missing, obviously the first place that you want to check is with Animal Care and Control, because we are the municipal shelter for Mecklenburg County.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Our current website is animals.cmpd.org, and you can go on there and you want to look under the lost pets. But I recommend coming down. Vanessa, you've been to the shelter many times, and the pictures that we take immediately when they come into the system are taken by a webcam, so that we can automatically get them uploaded within the first hour that they're in the building. Yeah. They're not the greatest quality. And
I've seen some interesting
right?
ones.
And a lot
like
of
the
them,
finders holding the dog, like,
I know,
over the counter.
and so I worry that if you have a black cat, right? And we have 13 black cats in there, you're not going to really know with the picture. So come down to the shelter. If your pet is missing, come down to the shelter. Our website does update once an hour, so keep checking it, keep checking back, but please come in person. You know your pet best, and you're going to be able to go, kennel to kennel and look to see if you see your pet there. So that's if you're looking for your lost pet. Also, we know, right, social media is your best friend, Nextdoor, neighbors, through Ring. Put your missing pet out there. There's so many connections that get made with getting the pets back home that way, the pet reunification.
Yeah.
And then if you have found a pet, you want to do all those things as well, put up flyers everywhere. But you also can do two things. You can bring the pet to the shelter, and obviously it will be brought in as a stray, and its pictures and everything will be gone up. But if you're like, I'd really rather foster this pet and try to, find the owner on my own because I feel bad about bringing it to the shelter, that's great because it's not going to take up a space at the shelter.
Yeah.
You can go online or you can call 311 and they can register the found pet.
Yeah.
So that way it's still out there and people looking, but it's safely in your home as well. And, if you have any questions like that, 311 is your best friend to call and ask.
Well, I feel
all
like
the details.
it's a good time to remind folks as well that, I think it's not just encouraged, but it's required that if you do find someone's pet that you do report it, because I remember doing a story about the ordinances for Charlotte,
Yes.
Mecklenburg County, about feeding someone else's pet. I mean, it gets particular, and you could actually potentially get in trouble if you are holding on to someone's pet and or just like feeding a
Right.
stray sometimes. Yeah.
Exactly. Those are great things to mention. It is a legal requirement that if you find a pet, that you report it found. And then really, again, it's up to you whether you'd like to hang on to that pet and do all the things to make flyers, put it up on the neighborhood, put it on all the listings, and then, what is your plan going to be, if you do not. Honestly, if you find an animal and you're like, man, if we don't find who it belongs to, I'd really kind of like to adopt this. Honestly, my recommendation would be to bring it to the shelter. It's going to be brought in as a stray, and it's going to be held for 72 hours, which is the legal requirement in North Carolina. When it comes in, it's going to get all of its vaccines. It's going to get Bordetella. It's going to get all the things that it needs. And then you can be put on as like an interested party.
Yeah.
And so when that animal comes up and the due date of the animal, what we call an outcome, right? Not an outcome, but like the due out date is what we call it. So once those 72 hours are up, you could adopt the puppy or the kitten or the cat or the dog or whatever it is, and then it's going to get its spay neuter and it's going to get everything. So it's going to be very economical for you that way because we're going to provide everything for it, and then you'll pay the adoption fee, which would be a lot less than if you're going to go and get all that done too. And I like it because it's the legal. Everything is legal. They've held been held by the agency for their legal 72 hours, and so there's no issues moving forward about whose animal it is.
Yeah. As far as, overall summer, I feel like there are a lot of larger topics to touch on. I mean, obviously, we touched specifically on 4th of July and some of the concerns around that. But, having just taken the pups for a walk before I came into work this afternoon, I mean, that was a hot walk. We tried to do the best we can to make sure it was comfortable for the boys, but I feel like that's something that folks need to be reminded of. Hot sidewalks, heat safety, that sort of thing. So what can you share about, some of the bigger issues that you see related to the summer and pet safety?
So I think that the things to be mindful about are what time of the day that you walk your pets. So we know we need to get them exercise, we need to get them potty breaks and that sort of thing, but you really want to take a look at the thermometer and listen to the meteorologist and see what the day is going to be like. We always recommend doing the most exercise, like super early in the morning, and then obviously in the evening, even even later as the sun is going down, with the humidity and everything that we have here in the Carolinas, it is still super hot even after the sun goes down. So you want to think about also limiting the amount of exercise based on the temperatures that are outside. I like to tell everybody, we've got so many beautiful greenways around. So seek a place that is very shaded. That's going to help. Like if you can go to a trail or go somewhere and walk where it's going to have a lot of tree cover, that's going to also help with your pets. There's other things to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you take water with you if you're going to go out like on a hike or a walk that's not just walking your dog around your neighborhood. Like you're going to take them out to exercise. Make sure that you take those kind of things, and just make sure that you're really keeping a really good eye on your dog. You know your dog best. So you are going to know when it's excessive drooling or it's excessive panting, and looking for those types of things. That is stuff you want to be really careful with. And then also the different breeds is important to mention. Because different breeds overheat much quicker than other breeds. And like you'll have like double coated breeds that are going to get a lot hotter a lot quicker. But really the ones, and I'm going to just say the like common term, any dog that has sort of the smushed in sort of face is a Frenchie, a pug, a Shih Tzu, and those sort of animals. They are going to have more problems than a normal dog with a longer snout is going to have. It's well known that those dogs are the ones that are going to get overheated quickly. We've had some issues with some Frenchies at some of our clinics in the summer. So those are, if you have that type of dog, talk to your vet, because you're really going to want to limit the time that they're out. They need their exercise, but it's more important that you make sure that they're not going to have any breathing things. And so know your breed, know your dog, know what to look for. Don't let them get overheated. Their paw pads are a big thing, like we talked about. Make sure that you're always feeling the pavement. I always like to put the back of my hand, because that's sensitive back there. Like you can lay that on the pavement, and there's kind of a rule of thumb, if you can't leave it there without having to lift it because it's burning for like 5 to 10 seconds, then it's too hot for their paws as well. So we like to call that like the pavement or sidewalk test.
I did that today actually, because it was so hot, and I was like, I just don't even know, so I don't want to chance it. But I did the sidewalk test. Unfortunately, it felt fine, but it was a very short walk today. I know that you have Huskies at home personally, so I guess I wanted to get your take, because I know that this can be a high energy breed. So when it is hot, do you have certain maybe brain games that you do inside the house to keep them calm and thoroughly satisfied when it comes to like expending their energy?
So great question, and especially great because we have a new pack member. And he is young. He's barely 2. And so he has a lot more energy than my other 2. My oldest one is 6. So she's kind of like, okay, I'm going to go out and potty and come back in. Where he's like, no, let's run and play. And I will tell you though, they even know, because they're like, let's go. And I'll toss the ball, like at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. And he's like, he'll toss it and he'll bring it inside. And then our activity, Vanessa, pretty much looks like our sectional couch downstairs becomes like a runway for them. And then he jumps over it and he runs up the stairs and he runs back the stairs and he does this whole path again. He is definitely getting his energy out, but honestly, I do. I take a ball upstairs in our hallway and I toss the ball to him, so that he can get some exercise. And then we have tons of little games. Because I like to tell this story, and I'll keep it brief, but a trainer that used to be our trainer at the shelter many, many years ago is still one of my very favorite people to ask questions. And I had all this guilt because I used to be a recreational runner, but it was long distance. And I used to feel like I had to run my Huskies like certain amount of miles every day, or else they weren't getting what they needed. And she told me, Melissa, don't be so hard on yourself. The mental stimulation that they get by spending time with their owner and working a puzzle or working a toy, a chew toy, or a Kong, or just the interaction that they have with you, like maybe you brush them, or whatever, that is just as important, and sometimes more important, actually spending that quality time with them than taking them on like a 2-mile walk.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying you shouldn't exercise, especially breeds, that are working breeds and that sort of thing. But you certainly can find other things to do with them that will mentally stimulate them. And Huskies are really part of your pack. So they love being with their people. So that's kind of a little bit of insider information on the Huskies. But they are air-conditioned dogs. Everybody always asks me, how do you own Huskies in the South? And I'm like, just like we do, I always make sure that if it's too hot for me, it's going to be too hot for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, we mentioned, some folks might be wanting to get out and about, as it is safe to do with their pet. One of the favorite things that we love to do in our house is go up to the mountains and go hiking and such. But, when we go, we're putting on bug spray. So I feel like it's really important to talk about what sort of, pests that you need to be watching out for when it comes to your pet, and what do folks need to be doing to protect them.
So obviously in the South, mosquitoes are a big issue, and a little bit differently around the country. And one of the things that we find that a lot of people, because so many people are moving to Charlotte from different areas of the country, that a lot of people are not really familiar with the fact that pretty much we need to keep our dogs, and obviously cats can get heartworms as well. We want to keep all of our animals on heartworm preventative, and pretty much I do mine year round because I just don't have a trust that I'm going to remember the months to do it. So I do a pill, and mine is a combo, so it's the flea, the tick, and the heartworm all in one. And I feel good about doing that because I know they're protected every single month when I give it to them. There are different things on the market now that you can do that. But the biggest thing is to know that mosquitoes, when they bite a dog, can cause heartworm disease. And it's a deadly disease. And a lot of people aren't even aware, because perhaps they are from North Dakota and maybe they don't have a mosquito problem or somewhere, but I've definitely heard people moving in and they just really don't know a whole lot about it. That is something that you need to do, in my opinion, every month. But the best recommendation that I can give is talk with your veterinarian and decide what method is right for your pet, because sometimes you can get vaccines now, I think, that you can get, and it's good for X amount of months or that sort of thing. So you don't have to remember that monthly pill.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I should mention too, just because we had experience dealing with heartworm with our senior pup who we adopted from CMPD Animal Care and Control Rocky River, he did come heartworm positive. So he came into the shelter already heartworm positive, and by multiple accounts from medical professionals, it was on the advanced side, and it was hard for him to breathe. I mean, heartworms literally are worms that will grow inside the chambers of the heart until the heart can no longer pump because it's so full of worms. So it's really a gruesome kind of illness when you think about, and it's preventable. So I mean, folks don't have to subject their pets to that if they can do the preventatives. Really quickly, I did want to make sure that we were touching on the kitties too, because I know we talked a lot about dogs. Y'all have so many different animals though over at the shelter, even the barnyard animals, but I digress. I do want to talk about kitties because I know it is kitten season, and how are the kennels looking for the kitties? And I know at some points you have bottle babies. Do you still have bottle babies right now?
We do. Yeah. So we still definitely have a need for fosters. So if you love kittens, please become a foster.
Yeah.
And you could foster, and you could take home, if they have a mom that's nursing, you can do that. You can take home the orphans that just need bottle feeding, or you can take home the ones that are past that stage. If bottle feeding every 2 to 3 hours is not in your schedule, we get it. You can also then take the ones that have come off of, are weaned and on food, and they just need to gain that magical weight to get to that magic number that they can have their spay or neuter. So there's various ways that you can do it. And yes, I just saw an email earlier about the fact that our kitten rooms are super full.
Oh, okay. So before we wrap things up here, how can folks best learn about the various programs that you have, whether it is the adoption program or fostering or staycation, or even if they just want to like look on the website and see what kind of animals do they have right now?
So the best way to look ahead and find out all the information about our different programs is to go to our website, which is animals.cmpd.org. And that will be changing soon as we've made a little bit of a move and a transition, but obviously that will connect and move forward. So animals.cmpd.org, and you can look at everything that you mentioned there, how to staycation, how to foster, how to volunteer, and of course, how to adopt.
Yeah, fabulous. Melissa Knicely with CMPD, well, currently CMPD Animal Care Control, but as you alluded, the fact that it will be eventually separating from the police department.
It did.
And so Charlotte Mecklenburg. Animal Care and Control.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
on July 1st.
Oh, that's right. We're in
Yeah.
July. Of course. Thanks so much for being here at the Live Impact News
Thanks
Studio.
for having me.